Hey, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Sammy Squirrel here. Got another Substack. Decided to write. I've been writing a whole lot lately. Let me make sure I'm sharing this. Yes, I am. It got me going because I've seen some. Well, the Smith Montauk I brought up this morning in Badlands uh, Daily, and got me thinking about it again. And then, mainstream media get caught. Well, anyways, it's the propaganda machine, how the mainstream media lost America's trust in social media took over by Semi the Squirrel. In today's political environment, trust in the mainstream media is at an all-time low. For conservatives, this isn't just a passing trend, it's a betrayal of what the media was meant to be. The mainstream media, once seen as a, as a guardian of truth and a check on government power, has morphed into something more sinister, far more sinister, a propaganda machine. The turning point came in 2012 with the modernization of the Smith-Mundt Act of 1948, a move that opened the floodgates for government-curated narratives to infiltrate domestic airwaves. This shift has shattered public trust in the media and driven Americans, especially conservatives, to seek news from social media instead. Here's how it happened, why it matters, and what it means for our future. The Smith-Mundt Act from protection to propaganda. The Smith-Mundt Act, enacted in 1948, was a Cold War era law designed to regulate how U.S. government shared information. Its original purpose was clear: keep government-produced propaganda aimed at foreign audiences from influencing Americans at home. For decades, it acted as a firewall, ensuring that domestic news remained free from state-sponsored spin. That all changed in 2012. Tucked into the NDAA, the Smith-Modernization Act of 2012 lifted those restrictions. Suddenly, materials created by the U.S. government, once reserved for overseas consumption, could be disseminated domestically. The stated goal was to better inform Americans about foreign policy, but conservatives saw it for what it was: a green light for government propaganda to seep into the mainstream media. This wasn't just a bureaucratic tweak, it was a seismic shift. The line between independent journalism and government influenced narratives blurred overnight. For a conservative audience already wary of centralized power, this confirmed a creeping suspicion. The mainstream media wasn't just biased, it was becoming a tool of the state. The mainstream media went from watchdog to mouthpiece almost overnight. The timing couldn't have been worse or more telling. The years following 2012 saw the mainstream media's credibility take a nosedive, especially among conservatives. Take the 2016 presidential election as a case study. Major outlets didn't just lean left, they campaigned openly against Donald Trump, often blending opinion with reporting. To conservatives, this wasn't mere bias, it was evidence of a deeper agenda, one potentially fueled by the newly unshackled government influence permitted by the modernized Smith-Mundt Act of 2012. The mainstream media's transformation into a propaganda machine isn't about any single story. It's about a pattern. Whether it's downplaying scandals that hurt liberal darlings or amplifying narratives that prop up the administrative state, the media's role as the fourth estate feels like a distant memory. Instead of holding power to account, it's become a megaphone for it. The Smith-Modernization Act didn't create this problem, but it supercharged it, giving the government a legal pathway to shape what we see and hear. Trust is in tatters. The fallout has been predictable and devastating. A 2023 Gallup poll pegged trust in the media at a dismal 34% among Americans overall. And I read it's gotten even worse. But anyway, with conservatives' faith even lower. This isn't just skepticism, it's a full-blown crisis of legitimacy. When the mainstream media is perceived as an extension of the government, it claims to objectively collapse. Every headline becomes suspect, every fact a potential fabrication. This erosion of trust has fractured the media landscape. Conservatives, in particular, feel alienated by a press that seems to mock our values and dismiss our concerns. The result, a growing number of Americans are abandoning traditional news altogether, seeking truth in places less tainted by government fingerprints. Social media, the new town square. That's where social media comes in. Platforms like Twitter, Truth Social, and Rumble have become the primary news sources for millions. A 2024 Pew Research study found that 55% of U.S. adults now get their news from social media, often or sometimes. For conservatives, these platforms offer something the mainstream media no longer can: a space where unfiltered voices, however imperfect, can still break through. Social media isn't a perfect solution. Its algorithms can trap users in echo chambers, serving up content that reinforces existing beliefs, and its content modernization or moderation policies often draw fire for censoring conservative prospects or perspectives. Remember all the bans, the shadow bans, the deplatforming that have hit right-leaning figures? Yet, despite these flaws, social media remains a lifeline. It's where conservatives can bypass the mainstream media's gatekeepers, share raw information, and rally around issues the legacy press ignores. What it all means. This shift from mainstream media to social media carries big implications. On one hand, it's a win for free speech and the marketplace of ideas. Anyone with a smartphone can now challenge the dominant narrative, a power once reserved for network executives and newspaper editors. But it's also a double-edged sword. The same tools that amplify truth can deepen division. As Americans retreat into digital tribes, for conservatives, the stakes are high. The mainstream media's descent into propaganda, turbocharged by the Smith-Mundt Act's modernization in 2012, that's a tongue twister, has left a void. Social media has filled it, but only partially. The challenge now is to keep pushing for transparency, both from a government too cozy with the press and from tech giants who control the new public square. We need a media ecosystem that doesn't just parrot power, but questions it. One that reflects the values of a free people over the agendas of the elite. The road ahead, the modernization of the Smith-Mundt Act in 2012 wasn't the end of honest journalism, but it was a tipping point. It handed the government a tool to meddle in the media, and the mainstream media, willingly or not, ran with it. The result is a trust deficit that's pushed Americans, especially conservatives, towards social media for news. This isn't just a story about changing habits. It's about a fundamental realignment of how we understand the world. As conservatives, our task is clear. Stay vigilant, demand accountability from every source, government, legacy media, and tech platforms alike. Seek out the truth, even when it's messy or inconvenient. Because if the MSM has taught us anything, it's that unchecked power, whether in Washington, D.C. or the newsroom, rarely serves the people. The propaganda machine may hum on, but we don't have to listen to it. All right? It's 9 minutes. Getting good at this now. So that's it. Just ranting again over the Smith-Mundt Act, and just happy to see that finally, I mean, you got like Scott Jennings over at CNN, who's just embarrassing all the talking heads over there with facts, and that, like that one reporter yesterday who said, apparently doesn't read the news or pay attention to the news, because she would have known that what was it, that trade deal in Africa, you know, the she would have known about that, but she just couldn't help herself. Her Trump derangement syndrome was so bad that she didn't care about the news conference where they signed the peace deal. She just couldn't accept it. She didn't want to believe it. She didn't even want to look at it. But that's where the media is at now. I mean, the government basically writes up a Mad Lib. Here's your story, and leaves a little blanks in there, for the reporter to fill in the blank, and that's it. But yeah, we got to get the Smith-Mundt Act fixed. But I think we're using it as well. The MAGA movement. I think we're taking advantage of it as almost as much as the left is. We just don't have the major network television channels like they do. That's the only difference. But we're reaching more and more people on social media, so be vigilant. Oh, see my laundry back there. Damn. Lady's supposed to be coming by to do my laundry for me today, and she's running late. That's why you see my laundry basket sitting up there. All right. Well, anyways, good night. Y'all have a great one.